I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go on a monologue about Land Rovers. I mean, people always talk about reliability with Land Rovers, but I think they're really missing the point. I think they're treating it as just a simple functional object. Land Rovers. Well, people love Land Rovers. We love our Land Rover, and that's different. We treat it differently than just a purely functional car to get us from A to B. And where I'm going with this is that because we have affection, because we enjoy the Land Rover, we want to maintain it, we want to keep it going. We want to actually make sure that it lasts the journey. And so I think it's a very good thing. And I think it speaks to then an attitude of how you treat other things as well. And I like the fact that Land Rovers are highly repairable. There is an extraordinary network of parts worldwide. And there is an extraordinary network of enthusiasts worldwide. Anyway. We're a family of 4 rebuilding a Land Rover to travel through Africa, installing life-saving chimneys in cooking huts in remote areas. Join us in this episode as we cut holes in the Land Rover, install springs, and hitch up our trousers to continue preparing the Land Rover for its Africa adventures. So I'm in the Land Rover and it starts, and I'm driving the Land Rover into the garage, ready for painting, which is a pretty monumental step. The first stage involved removing parts from the vehicle. Now, it's interesting, as I was removing some of these parts, the fact that this vehicle, this Perentie, was actually built in Adelaide by BAE Systems back in 1988. So it seems like an extraordinary thing to be rebuilding an Australian Land Rover. I've got this hoist above the car because I reckon that I can remove the roof rack, the rooftop tent, all in one by myself. We'll see how that goes. It turned out it went surprisingly well, and as a one-man band I was able to pull the rooftop tent off and the roof rack all in one piece. They'll always tell you that half the time, most of the time before painting is in preparation. What they don't tell you is most of that time in preparation is actually pulling bits and bobs off. The next stage involved fixing some characteristic Land Rover problems. So this is the door that has a bit of rust here and then potentially some rust down further. So what we're going to do is remove the door and see how bad it is and prep it before we paint it. And you can see the rust down the bottom there is quite bad. That whole piece just in there has corroded away, so I'm going to have to work out what to do. I've just pulled out this piece here, had a little bit of rust on it, and I've got now a replacement piece like this that'll fit in there. The door was still functioning perfectly fine. The issue was it would leave a trail of rust everywhere. We stopped. Well, having spent the last half an hour fixing the welder, we can now try to weld this little part again.
Very spotty, but I'm hoping that one of them just stuck. It would be quite nice.
The original Perentie, or military version of the 110 specifically built for the Australian Army, had come with these really nice little side cubby pockets. So I wanted to cut them out of the old body and cut them in, or cut places to put them in the new 110 back, as these would form critical areas of storage for our Africa ventures.
So I'm really hoping that it's in the right spot. It matches up with that one, but if I mess it up, it's really, it would be a big botch job, and I haven't got that in me. Up until now, I've just been doing pot rivets on the inside. This is on the outside of the car.
With the pockets installed on both sides, it was now time to move on to the suspension upgrade.
Right, so I've ummed and ahed about this all morning, but I think I am going to replace the springs this morning and just get it done while I've got access to jacks in the workshop. And it shouldn't take too long. A couple of bolts, he says. A couple of bolts, remove the shock absorber, jack it up. Robert's your father's brother-in-law. He is actually. So, lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered, and now the spring is pretty loose in its spot. There's the old spring. Where are we? Well, we've had lunch, the paint has dried. It's dried, so we're up to installing the coil, a new second-hand coil, in to the spot.
So I'd picked up the coil second-hand off a Land Rover chap in Melbourne, who was full of great stories. Ex-military, he'd served as a security guard on a gold mine in the Yemen, apparently getting shot at every couple of weeks, really seriously, dumping bags of cash on the local headman's table. And there was also a story about a head in a backpack, but that's probably for another day. And it would detract from the next stage of the project, which was hours and hours of sanding. Now, I'm not making a comparison with Noah building his ark or anything, but the days certainly did turn into nights, and then days, and then nights again, as I watched my weather window decrease every day, with rains and high winds buffeting the shed. My window of opportunity to spray the car would actually now only be a day at the end of the week.
It feels as though I've been sanding all day, which is what I've been doing, but we're almost there. I'm going to take this bonnet off so that I can spray behind it. But what I'm doing at the moment is covering up all the bits that I don't want to be covered in paint. You'll see I've removed that window so that I'll get a nice clean finish when I put the window back in. And both doors are off. And the snorkel is off. Not exactly ideal conditions for spray painting, but it is keeping the moisture out, keeping the dust down on my sanding project. I'm sanding the car. Did you get that? I'm sanding it. The wind is really awful. It's just blowing out the sides. There, has dropped a little bit, and I'm just excited to get painting. The moment has finally arrived, and you find me in my painting outfit all tucked in. I'll do my buttons up. It's raining, which keeps the dust down, and I'm ready to mix up my first batch of etching primer and get started on these pieces, finally. The finish on here is a little bit splotchy, see if you can see that, due to the paint not being quite thin enough. I'm attacking it with a sander this morning to see if I can smooth it out and then give it another go. I think I've got a few more ideas as to how to best use the gun, but probably should have done a bit more practice on something else. That's all right, got into it. I've just put on the priming coat, and I've dialed in the spray gun. It took a little bit to get air pressures right, but I think I've got a really nice finish now. It'd be like having a new car. I've never had a new car. Got the base coat on, a couple of coats of that. There's a window of sun tomorrow, from 7 till 9, so I'll do the green then. And then we'll sort out the roof at a later date. I still need to buy the roof colour and the clear finish to go on top.
We decided to paint the Land Rover Atlantic Green, a classic colour similar to the original Land Rovers.
I've been doing this paint job with not a gravity fed, a siphon fed paint gun. The reason why is it was in my father-in-law's shed. Fairly straightforward, air comes out front with paint. It's a 1.5 size. I thin the paint down with thinners and then apply it, trying to get fairly even coats. Having some issues with the compressor, with the airflow fluctuating, not quite getting a consistent airflow. But that's alright, I just take a pause and I step back. Probably also to note, I got the paint from Super Cheap Auto. They mixed up the colour, Atlantic Green, for me. It's quite funny. The chap mixing it said, "I hate mixing paint. I just feel as though it's a waste of time. There's more useful stuff I could be doing." Used to love it. It's been a good learning curve, and I feel as though I can spray paint slightly better than I could at the beginning of all this. And it's coming up a treat. Well, I'm outside Autobahn, and no, I'm not sponsored by Autobahn, but in here lies a colour called limestone. So last night I finished off the Atlantic Green limestone roof. So the car is starting to look quite good. That's the back of it. It's a lovely colour combination. And today I'll be doing the gloss, and I can finally tear off all of the paint coverings. But that is the Land Rover. We're getting on with the top coat. Once the top coat's done, I can strip all the stuff off and it can be like opening a Christmas present. I'm quite excited because the dearly beloved gets home tomorrow and I'd like to have it at a stuff off stage. Doing up something that was old and making it new again. And I'm a huge fan of redemptive narratives.